Communication is the first thing we learn as a child, but as we grow older, it becomes the hardest thing to do. Most of us communicate with each other. We exchange various forms of meanings, such as ideas and information through different common system of symbols. Communication includes writing a diary, reading a newspaper, talking with friends, listening to the radio, watching television, chit-chatting with our friends, texting, and speaking on a telephone. We use communication to develop social relationships, to influence, to express our thoughts and feelings. There are two types of communication: the non-verbal communication and the verbal communication. Non-verbal communication includes facial expressions, gestures, objects or signs, eye contact, and any body movements. Traffic lights and highway road signs are also good examples of nonverbal communication. Research shows that people use nonverbal communication, which is 93%, and 7% is verbal. There are 7 parts of communication: the sender, encoding, message, channel, decoding, receiver, and the feedback. But how does these 7 parts of communication works? Before the communication takes place, a purpose expressed as a message to be conveyed is needed. The communication process begins with the sender, and the sender is also called a communicator or source. This receiver will receive the information or ideas from the sender, and the receiver will give the sender a feedback. The message from the sender is encoded and passes to the use of channel to the receiver, who translates and decodes the message initiated by the sender. The result is communication, which is transferring understanding, ideas, information, and meaning from one person to another depicts the communication process. Does communication problem occur? Yes, communication problem occur when there is someone or something interrupting the conversation, and it is called a barrier. A barrier can be a background noise, cultural differences, disabilities, and emotional barriers. The background noise can affect communication, such as phone beeping. A slight background noise can interrupt and distract someone from listening to what is being said. And cultural differences, it may include the beliefs, language, and religion. They're all examples of communication problem. They're all barriers that gives difficulties to us. Cultural diversity makes communication difficult. Different culture have different meanings of words, behaviors, and gestures. But in order for us to avoid miscommunication, especially to the people with different cultures, we must consider them, because they might have different view on things. We must be curious, linguistic, and open-minded, and we must practice good listening as well as talking. In fact, we have 2 ears and only 1 mouth. Listening just might be the more important skill. If you are a good listener, you are using questions, because questions tend to focus on the conversation. To be a good listener, we must pay attention, because effective conversation begins with a good communication.